Hello, hello, hello. How's it going? Boom. There I am. Using the drawing avatar because quite frankly, I didn't want to set up the webcam. And the person's gone. I'm just gonna wait a bit to see if anyone else shows up. Keep getting the warning message about the streaming bit rate, which, yeah. I'm hoping, somebody shows up and says hi. Yeah, because I don't think a tier list is gonna be really any fun if I'm just talking by myself. You know. Oh, I got muted anyways because I hear the train. The train's being late tonight and it's really pissed me off. Hang on. Train's coming. I'll say hi in a second, Tokupunk. Alright. The train should not be honking his horn anymore. How are we doing tonight, Tokupunk? Final Wars better be peak. We'll get back to that. Yeah, this is going to be a short stream just simply because I just worked literally 5 days in a row and I'm kind of beat, so I figured I still kind of wanted to do a stream to say hi at least. So figured do a tier list since -1's coming out this week, seeing it Wednesday. Should probably explain how the Fine got a cold though. Ah, that sucks. Sorry to hear that, dude. Hopefully you have a speedy recovery. Alright. So, since it looks like people are coming in. Alabasta is amazing. Ah, you're talking about One Piece. Yeah, I may not be able to watch -1. Ah, really? That sucks. I mean, I hope you do get an opportunity to see -1 eventually. I mean, ish. I don't know where you live. I don't know if it's just because they're not showing it in your area or what, but I do legitimately hope that you get to see it soon, or sooner rather than later. Anyways, I should explain how I set up this grand old tier list. So, King of the Monsters. Oh, I'm very low on money. I feel a bit under the weather. I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, like I said, I hope you have a speedy recovery. And I mean, I feel like -1's gonna be in theaters for a bit. It's next to me. Okay. Yeah, I have a feeling it's gonna be out in theaters for quite a bit. So hopefully you get an opportunity, and hopefully you get some money to go see it. All right. So let's break down this tier list. So on the top, we have King of the Monsters. King of the Monsters just means it's my favorite. Then Let Them Fight are movies that I think are like the best in the Godzilla series, but not necessarily my favorites. A Happy Moment, movies that I like. Should Learn to Fight My Own Battles, you know? That's a tier going to be for movies I like, but are incredibly flawed. And then we have Oh Godzilla, What Terrible Language. They are movies that I genuinely don't like. Like, I overall don't care for, but there are aspects and parts of the movies or shows that I do like. Banana Oil are for movies strictly that I don't like and I have no interest in rewatching. And then at the bottom, a quote from Tomoyoshi Tanaka: as long as the arrogance of mankind exists, Godzilla will survive. And that is basically for the two, basically for -1 and Monarch. Monarch is still ongoing, and I want to give that show its time to finish before I make a judgment, and I haven't seen -1, so I can't say where it will be on this tier. Thought it was one day only? No. It's like a normal theater release, a -1. Yeah, no. There's a Wednesday early access showing in IMAX, but no, it's going to be playing for probably a week. I want to say a couple of weeks. Monarch show is peak Monsterverse. Yeah, I've been enjoying Monarch, but again, I want to give the show a chance to finish. Oh, nice Monday night stream. Hey, Andy, how's it going? Yeah, we just talking about -1. But yeah, I just wanted to do a short stream as some way to cool off from the 5-day work week. Anyway, I'll briefly go over the tier list again. King of the Monsters, my favorites. Let Them Fight, movies I think are the best but not my favorites. A Happy Moment, movies I like. Should Learn to Fight My Own Battles, you know, are for movies I like but are incredibly flawed. Oh Godzilla, What Terrible Language, movies I genuinely don't like overall, but there are elements I do like about them and do eventually rewatch. Banana Oil is for movies strictly that I do not like and will never rewatch. Or I shouldn't say never rewatch, but I have no interest in rewatching. And then As Long as the Arrogance of Mankind Exists, Godzilla Will Survive is for Monarch and -1 because Monarch's still ongoing and -1 I haven't seen. Alright. That's the tier list. Good, just sending you a demon with the last Godzilla. Nice! Looking forward to seeing it. But anyway. So yeah, so far it's just Monarch and -1 since I can't really judge those. Let's start. I don't know. Should we go from least favorite to favorite, or should I go in chronological order? You guys decide. Least to top. Okay. Alright. It built suspense. Worst to best. Okay, we're going from worst to best. Okay. So starting from banana oil. This is not going to have a lot of movies, thankfully, because I genuinely like Godzilla movies, but there are 3 movies that are going on this list. I would also, well, I would put Gigantus Fire Monster under there, but this is Godzilla Raids Again. That'll be, oh, Godzilla, What Terrible Language. But I'll talk about that later. But no, the anime trilogy are my least favorite Godzilla movies. And I'm going to say this. Every other Godzilla movie on this list, or Godzilla show, I at the very least have an interest to rewatch them from time to time. You know, even if I genuinely don't care for them, there are still moments where I'll be like, you know, I could go and rewatch this movie. I never had an interest to rewatch the anime trilogy. I will probably eventually rewatch them to give them, I guess, a second chance, but yeah, after my first viewings of them, I just was so let down by them. It was a waste of the medium. Toho put way too many restrictions on them. Thankfully, one of the co-directors of the trilogy went on to make Gamma Rebirth, and Gamma Rebirth I actually do like. Yeah, just a lot of baffling decisions that made them to really overall bland movies that I just genuinely don't have an interest in rewatching. Once again, I will never understand how you call a movie Planet of the Monsters and somehow make it that boring. Right? Like, and it's weird. It's like, with the medium anime and Planet of the Monsters, you would think that you would get Planet of Monsters and there wouldn't really be, you know, like, there's no, like, limitations that live action has, you know, so it's like you could just put monsters in there. But it was wasted. The anime trilogy felt like so many wasted potential and missed opportunities. Hey Elijah, how you doing? Yeah, we're going from worst to best on this tier list. But yeah, no, Andy, I fully agree with you on those. I mean, again, I'll eventually rewatch them, probably, but it's just I never seen a Godzilla movie where I just don't have the interest to rewatch them. I didn't care much for them at first, but grew to enjoy them over time. Well, that's good, you know. I mean, like, eventually I may rewatch them and give them another shot, but just right now, Toho really screwed them over. Yeah, no, 100%. It's just, and another baffling thing too is like you have this medium where the limitations of live action don't exist. Hey Connor, talking about my Godzilla movies from least favorite to favorite. Least favorite right now is Banana Oil. Anyway, I'm going to move on from the anime trilogy, but I just want to say it's like I want to finish the point. The anime trilogy just overall, like, they wasted their medium, you know, really badly. Like, I think there were some really cool shots, don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of the potential it had was wasted. Alright. It really should have been a show. Gamma Rebirth is proof that. I mean, I don't think it necessarily had to be a show, but I think they should have at least made up to the promises of the titles and marketing. Like, I was expecting Godzilla to fight Mechagodzilla. I was expecting Godzilla to be on a planet full of monsters. I was expecting Godzilla and Ghidorah to actually fight and not Ghidorah being transparent. I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna move off from banana oil, and we're gonna go to Oh Godzilla, what terrible language. By the way, if there was a Gigantus poster, I consider Godzilla Raids Again and Gigantus two separate movies. Gigantus would be in banana oil. But that's also kind of a so bad it's good in a way. If they do a new anime Godzilla, uh, go ham and give us an adaptation of Half Century War. Yeah, I've actually been rereading Half Century War in preparation for -1. 98 is really good. Oh, Godzilla 88? Do you mean Godzilla vs. Biollante or do you mean Godzilla 98? Because if you're talking about 98, I'm going to be talking about that soon. But anyway, so Gigantus would be also in banana oil, but that's an awful dub. They tried to make Godzilla not Godzilla. It was weird. But anyway, Oh Godzilla, what terrible language tier. For the movies I overall just don't care for, but there are elements I like about them. Yeah, so Godzilla Raids Again, it is a victim of a rush production. I think it's very apparent. Now I have recently rewatched Godzilla Raids Again and listened to the commentary from the classic media release. I even just finished reading the novelization of Godzilla Raids Again. And it's just, there's a lot of elements that, just wanted to say with the anime trilogy, I felt it was more of a battle of ideas and of monsters. Yeah, it definitely was. TriStar Godzilla is cool. I'm going to be talking about TriStar Godzilla soon, Connor, and that's not necessarily a good thing. maybe not a good thing for you. But no, anyway, I think Godzilla Raids Again has a lot of cool ideas and a lot of cool moments. And on paper, sounds really cool. Sounds like a fun movie. But the way it's executed, it's boring. And that's the problem. It's like with Godzilla Raids Again, it's boring. Why do the fights look like they're humping each other? If you're talking about Raids Again, they didn't know how to make monster fights at the beginning. This was still they were still dipping their toes into the monster genre overall. And I think they were probably trying to go with a more animalistic feel. But no, it's just, again, a lot of cool ideas. I do actually recommend picking up the recently translated novella of Raids Again and the original Godzilla. And because it's just, you can see the original writer's ideas for both movies, and there's some deviations, more so in the original Godzilla than Raids Again. But yeah, it's just Raids Again has a lot of cool ideas, a lot of cool moments, but just an overall poor execution that makes the movie feel so dull and boring to watch. It's sort of fascinating in that way. They perfected monster fights in my fave, Ghidorah the three-headed monster. Yeah, I think we all agree that 60s show of Godzilla is pretty peak. But yeah, and I even like the climax, at least on paper, of them, trapping Godzilla in a glacier, but again, they executed just poorly. That's the one with the still shot of Godzilla while they're flying overhead. Yep, that's the one. Alright, Raids Again. Yep. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Anyway, let's move on to the next Oh Godzilla, what terrible language. By the way, they're not going to be in specific order. in the this tier. Um, let's see. Let's just get this out of the way. And shoot. Okay. So, 98 Godzilla. My nostalgia for this movie prevents me from truly hating this movie. And I will say, I think the beginning moments are pretty cool, but it is very much evident that Roland Emmerich did not give a crap about Godzilla. I mean, he fully admitted that he didn't give a crap and pretty much sabotaged the movie. And it shows. In fact, it's a movie that I've grown to be more disappointed that it's not a Jurassic Park parody. Because they had the elements to make a funny funny Jurassic Park parody movie, but no, they decided to make a Godzilla movie. And again, I think there are elements of 98 that do work. Like, just like the first moments of the movies, like the build up to Godzilla, I think it works. In fact, the dock scene especially, the fish, the guy fishing and then his wire, fishing line gets caught on Godzilla. That's a really cool and fun scene. But then once Godzilla starts hiding, that's it. It's no. Then it just. Another recent rewatch of mine. I don't know why, but I did feel a bit taken out this time around. Yeah. Like, I think it's been a year or two since I rewatched 98, but I've watched it a lot as a kid. And. Yeah, I don't know. It's just. There's just a lot of things going against this movie, but there are a few things that I do genuinely like about this movie, and I think they're cool. Anyway, and then we're going to go with Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. Let's say this is definitely the worst of the Millennium era, in my opinion. Just, I think it was, again, another product of rushed production, because, again, this was a time when Toho was mandating yearly production. It's just, there are elements I do like I like the soundtrack. I like the opening moments of them recreating 54 with the Mirai Goji suit. There's some cool things about it, but I think there's an overall poor execution. That's the one I remember the very least. Yeah, like I think there's just more focus on trying to get the movie out than trying to make a good movie, and it even shows in the tokusatsu parts, like Megaguirus' wires. They did not do as good of a job as hiding the wires as they do with other flying kaiju. It was jarring, and yeah, it's not very memorable outside of the black hole gun and whatever. But thankfully, the idea was sort of reused for Godzilla X Mechagodzilla to to make an actually better movie with similar ideas and concept. Alright, let's see, looking through the list. And I don't think I'm gonna put any more on Oh Godzilla, What Terrible Language. But I'll say there is a movie that's pretty close to that. But it is going to go in Should Learn to Fight My Own Battles, which means I like these movies, but they are very much flawed. Really would be cool to see Megaguirus make a comeback. Indeed. I think Megaguirus is a cool kaiju. And I do like seeing her in comics and video games whenever she pops up. But yeah, Godzilla vs. Kong is a fun enough movie where it avoids being on "Oh Godzilla, what terrible language" with like these movies, but I do think it is my least favorite. Um, yeah, no, it's single GVK. Yeah, Godzilla vs Kong, being is close to being this. Like, it's just again, it is a fun movie, and I think there's a lot of fun moments. And I did recently rewatch the movie with the director's commentary. So yeah, which is I always like, listening to. It's nice to get into filmmakers' perspective, but I over time I think I've grown to really not care for this movie as much as I do with the other MonsterVerse movies. It's serviceable, yeah. It's just to me as a King, I felt like it was a bit of a step backwards from King of the Monsters, and it played it safe. The action scenes are fun. Don't get me wrong. I chalked this movie up to being pretty much like a Universal theme park ride. I think that's the best way to describe this movie. GVK is peak, but man, WP killed this film. More bad was wasted. Yeah. I think here's the thing. I love the Kong moments, but it's all the Godzilla and Mechagodzilla parts where I think the movie gets really lost with itself. Like the Godzilla gang, the Maddie and her group, I didn't think they needed to be in the movie. I didn't think they needed to be focused. There was too much focus on the Mechagodzilla buildup and not really any focus on Godzilla. But I did love Kong was the protagonist. Yeah, and I'm fine with Kong being the protagonist, but I did wish there was a bit more focus with Godzilla. Godzilla kind of felt a little bit pushed to the side in some parts of the movie. Yeah, I mean, and they didn't even try to go into the Ren Serizawa parts, at all, which is I guess a blessing and a curse. But if he's supposed to be Ren Serizawa, I'm sorry, Dr. Serizawa's son, maybe, I don't know, he should maybe he should play into that more. And if I got a chance to, Geo was great. Yeah, no, like I said, the Kong parts were great. I would okay. So if I rewrote the movie, I've been thinking about this for a while, probably since I first watched it. I would keep all the Kong parts. Yes, Gia is amazing. She's one of my favorite protagonists in all of Godzilla. I would keep the Kong parts as they are. It's the Godzilla and Mechagodzilla parts I would rewrite. I would actually ditch Maddie, her friend, and the conspiracy theorist. They should be... I wouldn't do them. I would actually focus more on Ren Serizawa's character, and not going the original route of them. Oh, he wants revenge, but I would place him in more of a conflict of, does he want revenge? Does he really want revenge against Godzilla? Just being in this middle ground of having conflicted feelings with Godzilla, after his father's death, and having sort of Mark Russell being someone who let go of his revenge of Godzilla, being sort of the side to try to, pull Ren back from going to the route of revenge, while we got the CEO of Apex trying to push Ren into revenge, because I would have it so the CEO wants revenge against Titans and Godzilla. That's his inspiration, his motivation to create Mechagodzilla. Um, so that's how I would do it. But no, keep the Kong parts as they are. I think Kong as a protagonist is great, but it's just, you'd want him to actually be a character. Yes, I want characters to actually be characters, and yeah, it's a fun film. It's a fun amusement ride, I guess would be the best way to describe it. And there's nothing bad about them, but it's just, I think there's a lot of flaws for this movie, and I was kind of disappointed in the movie overall. Anyway, should learn to fight my own battles. Is there any other Godzilla movies? I feel like I had them, but I kind of went on a Godzilla vs. Kong rant. Here's the problem. We're getting into movies I like. It's just, okay. You know what? We're gonna do this. Okay. This film just didn't have the same hype as King of the Monsters, at all. Yeah, I would agree with that with Tokupunk. Alright. So Godzilla vs. Mothra, 92, and Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. Actually, you know what? We're gonna put that in a happy moment. I'll talk about that later, but Godzilla vs. Mothra, I will admit it is a flawed movie. I will admit it's a very flawed movie, but I can't hate it. I do genuinely like this movie. In fact, I like all the Heisei movies. I think the hate towards the Heisei movies is pretty blown. It's pretty blown up in recent times, but I just, again, it's one of those, I acknowledge it's a very flawed movie. I can understand why people may not care for it, but I really like it. Wait, is there hate? Yeah, there's quite a bit of hate. Yeah, people have been pretty dismissive of Heisei era lately. And I think Blue Nova, which, by the way, I love his videos. I think he does great videos, but he was definitely spearheading the Heisei hate with his, why the Heisei Godzilla movies are bad. And then there was that whole drama, I believe, earlier this year about Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. It's just, yeah, I've seen a lot of people dismissive towards the Heisei era. People hate Heisei era because of YouTubers now. That's bizarre to me. I'm a show guy, go through and through, but Heisei has so much. Bunova's Heisei vid was awful. Yeah, I didn't really care to really watch Bunova's Heisei vid. Like I said, I think, and that, granted, that was years ago, but I think his videos now are fantastic. I love Blue Nova's videos, especially, he did such a great job in the Ultraman 80 video. Yeah, it's I don't agree with a lot of his takes, but I will acknowledge he makes some really great videos on Ultraman, Kamen Rider, and Giant Robo. I love his Giant Robot video, Giant Robo video. But you know what? Alright. I'm gonna put Godzilla Violent Wars in this tier list as well, as I think it's a fun film, but here's why it's going on this one. It is flawed, but it's a fun type of flawed movie. It's a very, very fun film in the right circumstances, but for me, when I watch movies, I don't like to skip ahead or fast forward. Um, I when I watch a movie, I like to watch movies start to finish. I rarely want to skip over any parts. Um, Final Wars, though, that was a movie for quite a while where it's just like I would just skip ahead to the monster fights for fun. It didn't put Final Wars in peak. L unsub canceled. Damn it. Well, that's it for my YouTube career, I guess. That was my favorite. I mean, yeah, no, here's the thing. Again, I think the movie is incredibly flawed. But and it's a fun time. It's just it's a movie that if I am going to skip ahead, I can't just to watch some fun monster fights. I'm not exactly going to be putting it up in the other, like the higher tiers now. That's the problem. You know, it's like I'm sort of in this middle ground of Final Wars, like because I feel like Final Wars is that one movie where it's like you either love it or hate it, whereas where I'm in like I'm in the middle, but I lean towards liking it more. This is my all-time fave with King like Kodum, Ghidorah, and 84. That's a solid list. I respect that. I'm gonna take a quick drink of water. Oh, also, yeah, Don Fry may be a bad actor, but he's still badass. Um, like he has some of like the most memorable lines of that movie. Like he just has like natural charisma in that movie, so it doesn't even matter he's a bad actor. In fact, there's some like really, I think it's one of the more humorous Godzilla movies. Like, I mean, like that in a, like, no, it was like purposely comedic in points. Like, I think one of my favorite scenes in Final Wars is when they're the two guards like at the Area G, you know, in Antarctic. They're just chilling as just like Don Fry's love, Don Fry's life. Agree. But yeah, no, like the two guards are just chilling after, you know, it's like after the Exians take over, and they're just like, "Hey, the good thing has survived," and he's like, "Really? Really? Is that all I can say? Is really?" It's like, yeah, the world is ruined. Like nothing matters. It's just like that scene is great. I love that scene. Also, the New York City scene. Like, okay, I live about 4 hours away from New York City, but I will say that scene was very accurate. As someone who doesn't live in the city, that scene was very accurate. That was a very accurate New York City scene. Okay, let's move on. Is there any? I'm hesitant. It's just I'm not putting him there. Like I'm torn, be putting King Ghidorah between should learn to fight my own battles and a happy moment. I'm torn because we gotta agree. The writing is this movie's weakest part, especially with the time travel aspect. That is very flawed. But at the same time, this movie has some really, really good moments that really elevate this movie overall. It's just, I guess for me, what affects my opinion on the film overall? The bad writing, or, you know, the really cool moments? It's kind of trash. Nah. It's tough. But I think, think I'll put in a happy moment. This is your least favorite. Oh boy. I might have a hot take coming. But anyway, before we get to that, let's talk about the other happy moment. Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. I think I'm done with the should learn to fight my own battles because the thing is, I genuinely like most Godzilla movies. The entire film is so boring till the first the final fight is peak. Yes, I don't know. Okay, let's talk about Space Godzilla versus before we get to King Ghidorah. Alright, Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. I don't care if people think this is the worst of the Heisei era, next to Mothra vs. Godzilla. I can say Godzilla vs. Mothra. No, Mothra vs. Godzilla is a completely different film, which, spoiler alert, I will not be talking about until near the end. But yeah, Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. Sorry, stream died a bit for a second on my end. Sometimes it does that. Anyway, I just have too much fun with Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. It was one of the like Heisei, like, just genuinely one of the Godzilla movies I would used to rewatch all the time. I mean, granted, today I acknowledge it has some flaws, but overall, I think it's a fun movie. Space Godzilla is such an evil jerk. I love him. I love the Mogera. I love the island setting in the beginning and then the crystal setting. You know, despite this movie's flaws, I love it. That's what I'm going to say about Space Godzilla. Then we got Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. Anyway, Space Godzilla's peak. Agreed. Yeah, it's like, how can you really dislike a movie that gave us Space Godzilla? Honestly. Alright, so Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. Now, granted, this may be in nostalgia talking because I did grow up watching Heisei movies. But I acknowledge that the time travel aspect is really poorly well done. But I do think this movie has a lot of interesting moments. I have some really cool moments. Like, I love the World War II sequence. Just because, and not necessarily what's going on, but more so like as, you know, like in terms of the special effects and whatnot. I think it was just cool to seeing a smaller scale suit, you know, the Godzillasaurus. I sort of like, you know, that element, that relationship between the Godzillasaurus who turns into Godzilla and Shindo. I sort of like that element. In fact, it has a great payoff with that, you know, really like melodramatic moment where Godzilla and Shindo, they say goodbye to each other before Godzilla blasts him to the face with atomic breath. I also think there is a bit of a tragic nature with this Ghidorah that's not present in the other Ghidorahs, because while Ghidorah has been controlled before, he's always been an evil jerk. Like, even if he's not being controlled, he's still trying to cause destruction, mass chaos. We never got that from this Ghidorah. This Ghidorah were Dorats that were victims to the Futurons, that honestly never got a chance to have its own free will, and never even got the opportunity to rest, as its body was rebuilt to create Mecha King Ghidorah. You know, so there is like that inherent tragic nature that makes me really compelled to Ghidorah. Plus, I really like Ifukube's music, and you know, I really like Ghidorah and Godzilla in this. I think the elements that I like just elevated from me putting it in the lower tier. Alright, a happy moment. So these are going to be movies that I like, so probably going to start rapid firing these for a bit. Actually, you know what? There is one movie I'm going to put in should learn. No. Yeah, it's hard. It's like I'm getting into movies where I'm teetering, but yeah, no, I like Godzilla 2000. I think Godzilla 2000 is cool. Specifically, I like the English dub better, which is a rarity, but no, I th- I like it. There's some flawed moments, but I don't know. I like it. I like the main cast, and I think it has one of the better human antagonists. That's why Godzilla 2000's in this list. Then we got Destroy All Monsters. The story and the human elements are weak, but I think it's just an overall fun spectacle film. I guess like sort of like a prolonged episode of Ultraman minus Ultraman, like 70s Ultraman specifically. A prolonged 70s era episode of Ultraman. Minus the Ultra, of course. Let's see. Yeah, now it's getting tougher to... Okay. Godzilla 2014. So, I rewatched this movie, and I think this movie had... Okay, if it wasn't for Bryan Cranston, this movie would be lower. But if it wasn't for Gareth Edwards and co writing it so Bryan Cranston's character dies so early in the movie, this movie would have been higher. Because Bryan Cranston makes this movie. But other than that, was the weirdest looking Godzilla in my opinion. Like, I guess 98. Because it's like so different than typical Godzilla. But anyway, back to Godzilla 2014. Other than Bryan Cranston, this movie does have a great atmosphere. Like, the thing is, like, the human characters are very weak other than Bryan Cranston and Dr. Serizawa. They're pretty weak. Ford Brody is not a compelling protagonist. I think there is quite a bit too much focus on the Mutos. But if there's one thing Gareth Edwards knows how to do, it is to create a great, like, he knows how to film scale. Like, he knows how to make something feel big. Like, Godzilla in this movie, unlike any other Godzilla movies, feels big. Like, he doesn't just look big. He feels big. Like, he feels big even to us, you know, and that's something that that's like Gareth Edwards' strong suit, is a sense of scale. He knows how to film things with a sense of scale in mind. And I don't think any Godzilla movie since, or heck, giant monster movie or media, has really matched Godzilla 2014 in that sense of scale, except for maybe moments of Shin Godzilla. Let's see. Is there another movie that I'm gonna put on here? Yeah, let's put Godzilla vs. Gigan. Yeah, the Godzilla vs. Gigan, a lot of the movie is like hold back from, I guess, stock footage and whatnot, but I love the human characters. Gigan's such a cool kaiju. And it was a movie I liked to put on, a lot as a kid. I think there's just a lot going for this movie, despite a lot of like the budgetary flaws and whatnot. Base guy again, yeah. Now, I'm going to talk about Godzilla vs. Megalon. I don't know if Andy's still here in the chat or not, because I know this is his favorite. But if it wasn't for my recent rewatch of this movie, I would have had actually Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla lower. Like either, like, and it would be teetering between these two. But after a rewatch, okay. I wanted to make sure you didn't miss Godzilla vs. Megalon. But after a recent rewatch, while I can't say it's my favorite still, or it's like one of my favorites, I see why it is people's favorites. I love the idea for the aliens in versus Gigan. Yeah, I agree, Elijah. But no, I do get the sense of fun with Godzilla vs. Megalon, and I can see why, as the kids say, it's cinema. Yeah, I can see why it's people's favorites. My recent rewatch of this movie, I think I found a new appreciation for the film. Because again, it's same victim that Godzilla vs. Gigan was in, budgetary restraints, but there is a lot of fun and charm to this movie. But I do think the English dub is horrible. English dub, irredeemable. And the reason why is that kid, whoever's voice acting the kid in that movie is unbearable to listen to. Like, they literally scream the kids' lines. Like, all their lines is literal screaming. I just don't get it. Like, the English dub. But the Japanese version, we're cool. It's just, boy, that English dub turned me off even when I was younger. Just, I could not stand that kid's voice. But yeah, no, it's a fun movie. Yeah, it's getting tougher to nail down, because it's one of those, like, I know what are going to be my favorites, but it's one of those, like, I'm now, like, do I have to go from liking it or to loving it? That's where we're at now. Okay, you know what? We're going to do this. I'm on my rewatch of Singular Point now, but I can understand why people didn't care for Singular Point, but I overall like it. I overall thought it was a good show. Still not a favorite of mine, but the battle at the end was honestly super fun. Yeah, no, I agree with versus Megalon. But no, Singular Point, I don't know, I really like the art style. Jet Jaguar was peak, yeah. I was about to say peak. The Jet Jaguar stuff was peak. The music was great. I actually bought the CD to it. I loved their rendition of the Godzilla's theme. Yeah, and while I think Ultima's design has some unflattering looks, I still think it's great. And I don't know, I vibe with the movie, but I guess I can see why people don't care for it as much. But no, I thought, overall I did think it was a much better improvement than whatever we got with the anime trilogy. Like Godzilla SP Singular Point, that was what I wanted the anime trilogy to basically be. Well, I will say, it was disappointing that they made Titanosaurus, Varan, and Gorosaurus be Godzilla's forms. But I feel like that's a minor grievance in the grand scale of it all. Alright. we're gonna put Ebra on here. Uh, I liked it a lot as a kid. Godzilla vs. Sea Monster. The one of the best human casts of the movie. Um, but I don't know. It's just recently. Again, I recently rewatched this, so this movie's pretty, fresh in my memory. It's just I do think it takes a bit to get the film going. Ebra, I think, is a really cool kaiju in the sense of the humans. But as a Godzilla monster, falls flat. I'm gonna spoiler alert. Ebra is my least favorite Godzilla kaiju. Because quite frankly, he's a giant shrimp, and he gets his butt handed to him twice in his own movie. So it's like, it's one of those well, he's not really a good opponent to Godzilla. And yeah, I think it's just, there's some stuff that doesn't work with me, but I do overall like Ebra. Must be allergic to shellfish. I guess. Sorry, I'm a vegetarian. Little Final Wars line for you. But I do think the core cast with Takarada and whatnot is what elevates the movie. Alright. I'm gonna have to start rapid firing through these soon, so do you like Ebra or the giant condor more? See, I don't consider the giant condor as in the same league as the Godzilla kaiju. At least I will say this. Ebra is in the same kaiju league as the other Godzilla kaiju. Giant condor is not. But I do think Giant Condor's scene was fun. I mean, I guess, okay, granted, Ebra's scenes were fun, and I like the underwater battle, but it's just, I don't know, it's just, for me, I don't really see the Giant Condor as, in the same ballpark as other Godzilla kaiju. So I guess I would have to say I do like Ebra more. Alright, see, how many films do we have left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 movies, shoot. I want to start rapid firing through these soon. Alright. So, let's do this. Son of Godzilla. I think it's underrated. I think people, the hate is overblown for this movie. People just don't like Manila. I don't necessarily love this movie, but I do like it. Terror of Mechagodzilla. Alright, this one might be controversial. It's just, I don't know. I feel like it was definitely showing that some of the steam for the show era was running out. I think it is Honda's weakest. Well, no. Destroy All Monsters is Honda's weakest directing, in the Godzilla series. But, it's, again, it's I don't think I have, it's not that I don't have any, I have issues with Terror of Mechagodzilla. I think it's a good movie. It's just one of those, I don't love it. I like it as a friend. But I will say Terror of Mechagodzilla does have the best Godzilla entrance all time. Titanosaurus is really cool. But I will say that Mechagodzilla does feel a bit weaker in this film, simply because in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla he had two, he was fighting against two kaiju, but in Terror of Mechagodzilla, he needed Titanosaurus to help him. Is there any other movies I would... Alright. I think we can go to the Lovitz. So... While not my favorite, but after a rewatch it, I can confidently say I like Godzilla vs. Ghidorah. Like, I love Godzilla vs. Ghidorah. It's groovy. Groovy is a good word to describe it. It's groovy, it's very artistic, very creative, and Hedorah is the only other kaiju that has as much symbolic horror as Godzilla does in the original. The best Mechagodzilla film? I'll get to the best Mechagodzilla film. Tokupunk. But I don't think it's Terror of Mechagodzilla. But yeah, Godzilla vs. Hedorah. It's really good. I love it. It's very creative, and as an artist, I respect it. At least Fave along with Heisei Ghidorah. Ooh, I don't know. I'm an artist, and I respect and appreciate, when people when things are a bit more artistic and creative, and that's what Hedorah is. My first horror film and a favorite of mine is to this day. Yeah, you get it, Elijah. Anyway, we're going to... Okay. Here's my real hot take. It's not one of my favorites, but I think I do love this movie. I don't mean ironically. I straight up, unironically, I love Godzilla's Revenge. Hedorah breaking down the wall and being the first female Godzilla antagonist. Yeah. This film is the reason we have MonsterVerse. Yep. It's Yoshimitsu Banno's Revenge. Rest in peace. But yeah. Anyway, back to All Monsters Attack. Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. Because here's the thing. Here's how I view All Monsters Attack. It's not a traditional Godzilla movie, but it is a Honda-directed drama. Gavra's top-tier kaiju. Gavra's a fun bully. But no, I will eventually go more into detail about my thoughts on All Monsters Attack. But for now, because I do think people... there is a general misunderstanding of this movie that of it being an anti-bullying film. It's not. But no, I think this movie has a lot going for it, and I think it lets Honda take a break from directing sci-fi and really tap into his drama roots. So it's a Shiro Honda drama, and that's why I love it. But I will say this, I agree, it's not the best quote-unquote Godzilla movie. In a sense, like a traditional Godzilla movie, but I love the movie for what it is. And I don't try to judge it by today's standards. I also try to judge it, it's like, keep it in the mindset of when it came out during the time. Okay, King Kong vs. Godzilla, not my favorite, but I do love it. There's just a lot of love about King Kong vs. Godzilla, even the English dub. But it's not one of my favorites, but it is a movie that I generally love. We're going to put Monsters Zero and Let Them Fight. I think that's a fun movie as well. Nick Adams is great. I love the drama. I don't really have anything bad to say. It's just, again, not one of my favorites, but I do love it. Yeah, sorry for going rapid fire. It's just, I want to try to catch the Matt Frank stream, talking about the latest Monarch episode, which, that's just me. Really had fun with King Kong vs. Godzilla this last rewatch I had. Yeah, it's fun. I need to rewatch the Japanese version, which thank you Criterion Collection for finding that loophole. But no, King Kong's vs. Godzilla is a fun film. But Monster Zero, also a fun film. I like the Godzilla dance. The Exians are great. One of the most iconic villains in the Godzilla series. And it's just a fun alien sci-fi film. Where else gonna put? Ghidorah is not my favorite, but it is the first Avengers film, and I think it's really fun. There's a lot of elements I really like. I love the human drama. I think they did a great job integrating that with the kaiju drama, and also was the first to characterize the kaiju as more characters and less like animals. So I appreciate for that. And let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. We're getting close to my top 10. And it's getting tough. Alright. You know what? I'm going to do Godzilla vs. Destroyer. I love it, but I guess I can't say it's my favorite. But I do love it. I love how it brings everything together in the Heisei era. Destroyer is a great villain. I think it's a great send-off for Godzilla. And Burning Godzilla is top-tier Godzilla design. That's one of the reasons why I chose to draw Godzilla for, like, Burning Godzilla for the Godzilla collab. Which, yay! You know, I'm glad I got that done. Alright. And I guess I'll put Tokyo SOS and Let Them Fight, because I will agree it is basically an epilogue for Godzilla x Mechagodzilla. But damn, it's a fun one. It brings the original Mothra into the canon. I love that. I think this is the best music by shoot, I'm blanking on her name. Gotta check it out real quick. Unless somebody says it on chat. The name of the composer for the Kiryu saga. Gotta look it up real quick. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to do that. Alright, composer. Where? Music. Okay. Michiru Oshima. Okay, yeah. I think Tokyo SS is her best soundtrack. Hands down. But I can see why. You know, it's like, admittedly, yeah, it's not as great as Godzilla x Mechagodzilla, but it's such a fun movie. Anyway, now I think we're on my top 10. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. Tokyo had some of the best effects too. Yeah, I will agree that. Alright. So, for quite a bit, I've said GMK was overrated. But after my last rewatch, I get it. GMK is actually good. Like, I don't know, it's just, I think the themes and the messages and just the overall what the movie was going for, I get it. You know, I guess my only problem was just the ending, you know. I still think it's a bit, you know, could have been a bit more fleshed out, but no, I think I genuinely get it this time. I think I genuinely love it. I no longer think it's overrated. Well, okay, I guess I won't say it's the best Godzilla movie, but I do think it's up there. Next, speaking of underrated Godzilla movies, '84. I love the Cold War drama. I love the um, like I don't know. Godzilla '84 or Return of Godzilla is one of the most atmospheric Godzilla movies, and I really enjoy it for that. Alright, now we're Code. Alright, Godzilla King of the Monsters is my favorite of the MonsterVerse movies. Um, and it just, to me, it was the Hollywood Godzilla I wanted to see. That's where I was like, yes, this is what I wanted to see Hollywood make for a Godzilla movie. Everything clicked. It felt like, to me, King of the Monsters felt show era. Like, at the very least, it felt 60s show era. And that's my favorite era of Godzilla, despite me putting most of the 60s movies in lower tiers. Read the few sections. I think you and I have pretty similar feelings about these films. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Alright. Now, let's talk about the Okay, now... Sorry. Second best Mechagodzilla film. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. I think it's the most fun out of the Heisei era. And I have to put it in one of my favorites because it was, like, I gotta say, this movie was one of my favorites as a kid. And that love for this movie hasn't really left me. Yeah, it's just, it brings some of my favorite Godzilla kaiju together. Rodan, Mechagodzilla, and Godzilla. I love it. Okay, sorry, I said second best, I mean third best Mechagodzilla movie. Sir, this is the second best Godzilla. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm flip-flopping, but I'm putting these two tied as the best Mechagodzilla movie, okay? Here's what I'll say. Godzilla x Mechagodzilla is the best good guy Mechagodzilla movie. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla is the best bad guy Godzilla movie. Yeah, so everything cooks for Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. It's my favorite of the 70s era Godzilla movies. And Godzilla x Mechagodzilla is my favorite of the Kiryu saga. And I think my favorite of the Millennium series as a whole. Although GMK was pretty good. But no, it's just like, I think nudges, Godzilla vs. Godzilla x Mechagodzilla over Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla is just the fact that Akane's character is so great. But yeah, could you tell that Mechagodzilla is my favorite Godzilla kaiju? Nobody would ever know that Mechagodzilla is my favorite Godzilla kaiju. Alright. Okay, so then we got Godzilla vs. Biollante. I'm actually about to rewatch Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. Nice! I rewatched it last year in theaters, so I feel pretty good, memory-wise on that. Alright, so Godzilla vs. Biollante, I think it's the best out of the Heisei era. I like the late 80s, early 90s vibe of Godzilla vs. Biollante. Plus, Biollante is a really creative kaiju. Yeah, I love it. I love Godzilla vs. Biollante. Now, we are on my top 3 favorite Godzilla movies. Starting off with Shin Godzilla. Yeah. I've seen Shin Godzilla a healthy amount of times, I feel like. That's what I say. I've seen it a healthy amount of times. Um, I don't know, I think this was a great collaboration between Higuchi and Ano. I agree that there are some nationalistic elements to Shin Godzilla inherent, but in the sort of like light nationalism, not the imperialist, right wing, nationalism. No, like more as like, hey, because this weird thing about Japan's history is that they were both the occupier and the occupied, but it's just one of those like. But those elements aside, I think it's a great movie about the incompetence of our governments and how they can lead to world disasters. And that ending is perfect. Now, this next one, I'm going to explain a bit why I'm putting it as my second favorite Godzilla movie. Now, I think this is the best Godzilla movie ever. Still. And it is indeed my favorite movie of all time. Godzilla is perfect. It's a modern fairy tale. And it is, it's like, yeah, it's a nuclear horror. It's just this movie's fantastic. It's my favorite, even though it's it's like melancholic, it's dark, but I think it's just great filmmaking. And even though it's my favorite movie of all time, it is not my favorite Godzilla movie. That honor goes to Mothra versus Godzilla. This movie just clicks with me all the way because I think this is just peak Godzilla. Mothra vs. Godzilla. It's just everybody's on their A game. Ishiro Honda, Eiji Tsuburaya. This is by far the best Ifukube score. The movie just works on all cylinders to me. And I guess I can see the argument of it being sort of overrated, and maybe nostalgia is playing a part of it. But to me, its anti-capitalist themes mix really well. Like, okay, Mothra's anti-capitalistic, capitalism themes mix very well with Godzilla's anti-nuclear themes. Very well. It's a great kaiju battle. It's just, it's really good. But yeah, sorry I had to go rapid fire for a bit. It's just, I really want to catch Matt Frank's stream, which I'm probably going to throw you guys over to real quick. He and, okay, that's 1 2. Might have to go with subscriptions. They might. Oh, they're not live yet. Huh. Interesting. I thought they would be live by now because they were like live around 8 last time. They might be running late, but yeah, so Space Godzilla 2 is peak. But Godzilla Plus. Yeah, sorry about that. I thought they would be streaming already, but looks like they're not. But yeah, they're going to be talking about the latest Monarch episode, and I kind of wanted to just join in. Plus, I really need to go use the bathroom. But yeah, I thought, just do a fun, chill stream tonight. No drawing, no gaming. Omniviewer got some really out taste, to be honest. Yeah, I can't say I've really agreed with Omniviewer's takes lately. But Yeah, anyway, this is my Godzilla tier list. Again, the reason why these two are at the bottom is not they're bad, it's more of just this one is still ongoing and this one I haven't seen, so I can't judge them. But yeah, I'm gonna actually end the stream for tonight. Because I attended just a short stream, but it was fun. Thank you guys for chatting with me. Thank you for talking about your opinions on Godzilla movies. Sometimes it's fun to just have a chill, relaxing stream where we all chat. You know, nothing like no like stress about being a good gamer or being a good drawer. But nah, it was fun, and I appreciate y'all for coming in. It's crazy you didn't have a mental breakdown for game. Rebirth like every other kaiju anime. It's cool to hear. It's cool to hear reviews. Catch you soon. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that I'll eventually get into some more like movie essays as sort of like breathers in between, like the Ultraman and Kamen Rider reviews. Which I'm still working on Amazon. It's just the Godzilla art collab has been taking up all of my attention. Just because of how massive it is. But yeah, once that's done, I'll be getting back to finishing the Amazon review. And then I'll probably want to start my All Monsters Attack video. But I will also be working on a fun -1 video. It won't be the first -1 video that I will put up, because I probably will put up like an unscripted first impressions video, but no, I'm going to attempt to do something fun for -1, which won't come out till early next year. But yeah, thank y'all for coming to, just hang out with me. I really appreciate that. I hope y'all have a fantastic night.